Llanerchaeron. Built by neoclassical architect John Nash in 1795, this small Welsh gentry estate has survived virtually unaltered for over 200 years. This is the hallway, which has been restored to the original John Nash colour scheme. You are looking into the drawing room, with a window ahead framing the little church of St. Non. John Nash had a fondness for curved surfaces. You'll see the curved wall, which is purely an interior flourish. The outside wall is flat and bears two facade windows. It is also interesting to note that in the cornice, the little row of beads along the bottom aren't quite perfect. Someone, 200 years ago, actually hand-rolled each one. There are a number of portraits in this room. This is Colonel William Lewis. He employed John Nash to design this house in the 1790s. Mary Ashby Lewis came here as a bride in 1841 and lived here until she was 104 years old. After her death in 1917, the house was passed to her great-nephew, Captain Thomas Powell Lewis. His son, John Powell Ponsonby Lewis, then inherited the house. It was Mr. Ponsonby Lewis who eventually left the house to the National Trust. Here we see the dining room. It is important to note that all the furnishings, including the taxidermy, were brought to the house when Captain and Mrs. T.P. Lewis came to live here shortly after the First World War. On the outside wall of this room, there is a large window. When Nash designed the house, he put windows on the outside of the building that don't exist on the inside. This completes the symmetry of the facades. You will also notice he did the same thing with the doors. The second door is just a cupboard. Entering the inner hall, we can see John Nash's large cantilevered stone staircase. Moving right, we enter the morning room. The morning room was used for daytime entertaining and tea. Along with the library, this was where the family would have spent a lot of their time. Formerly, there was a bay window in this room, but it was removed when the front facade was returned to Nash's original design. Moving across the hall into the library, you'll see some more modern furnishings. The last owner, Mr. Ponsonby Lewis, inherited the house and estate when he was 40 and lived here until he was nearly 90 before bequeathing the estate to the National Trust. The library was the room he used more than any other. Climbing the stairs, we enter the upper hall. Again, we can see Nash's trademark symmetry and curves. It is top-lit by a glazed lantern light. The curved door on the left opens into the boudoir. Above, you can see the wonderfully designed plaster ceiling. At the head of the corridor sits Captain Lewis's dressing room. It contains an original Carrara marble fireplace and window net. Moving next door, we find Captain Lewis's bedroom. The Captain and Mrs. Lewis installed the fireplace and wardrobe in about 1919. The painting is of Ponsonby Lewis's son Derek as a young man. Across the hallway is Mrs. Lewis's bedroom. In 1919, these plasterwork daisies were completely covered in what is equivalent to today's polyfiller. When the National Trust took over, only the tips of the petals could be seen. Extensive cleaning of the plasterwork was completed to restore the design to its original condition. Next to her bedroom, Mrs. Lewis's dressing room is complete with its original Georgian fireplace. This room also contains some furniture specifically built to fit the corner alcoves. Llanerchaeron also houses the PM Ward collection of fine Georgian treen and glassware. The exhibition is housed in 2 rooms that were used as bedrooms when the house was occupied. Here you can see some of the display cases and their contents from the upper exhibition. In the lower collection, we can see an image of Miss Ward herself along with her desk. Passing along the upper corridor, we find the servants' bedroom. It is likely that this was intended for a nursery maid, as the nursery was situated close by. The room is decorated with striped and sprigged wallpaper from the 19th century. Descending the servants' staircase, you reach the bell corridor on the ground floor. Further slate steps lead to the beer cellar were designed by John Nash. The cellar itself is underneath the 17th century part of the house. Here you can see the tap, which was fed with beer by the brewery in the service courtyard. Everyone drank the beer, so a good supply was always important. From the bellboard here, the service staff could see where in the house they were needed. Further down the bell corridor lies the kitchen, complete with built-in furniture and stewing stove. Linked to the kitchen is the scullery. Finally, connected to the scullery is the larder. Examples of jars and provisions that would have been stored in the larder are on display. Llanerchaeron was recently restored with assistance from the Heritage Lottery Fund, Cadw, and the European Union Structural Funds. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit to Llanerchaeron.